Thank you, Apostolos. Thank you all. First of all, just to make a link to the previous presentation of yours, just to begin some questions that perhaps will be discussed and replied in. I'm glad that I heard that what you mentioned, that in the end the cost for decarbonization will be paid by the consumers. And sustainability of this, let's say, I guess that it will come in case this money that will come from taxes, etc., will be invested, and then we will have an increase of wealth that can make this increase of prices sustainable. So I was requested to present something a bit more practical than what has been and what will be discussed. So we decided to present our experience regarding our experience from sea trials to existing ships. So our presentation focuses and tries to achieve these objectives. First of all, to discuss the experience, and for those who happen not to have been involved already with existing ship sea trials, how they are carried out and what are their applicability and use, benefits, risks, etc. Also, to discuss what may be the future of this particular tool, and of course to make a presentation that will be interesting for you to follow. So roughly the contents of the presentation will be to discuss and to present the applicability of these trials, the standards and procedures which are giving the guidance how to proceed with the trials, challenges, actual facts, and of course benefits and lessons learned. So, applicability. Sea trials to existing ships have a direct cause and relation with the EEXI calculations in the past and presently, most of the times. Also, they are used for the evaluation of energy efficiency technologies, either newly developed or installed on ships. Of course, another important application is the establishment of a reference baseline to be used in the performance monitoring of the vessels. And finally, some subsystems checks and benchmarking. Fast, I will pass through this information. When we have ships without model tests, we are obliged either to use the very conservative statistical method to calculate the EEXI and result into increased EPL, power limitation. And in that case, instead of using that statistical method, we can carry out sea trials and calculate the actual speed power curve of the vessel. And this is for the pre-EEDI vessels. Of course, sea trials have been used and will be used for the calculation of the speed power curve of vessels which have installed energy-saving devices. By the way, trials have to be carried out when we have permanent non-overridable power limitation, engine derating, or change of a propeller. The challenge with maneuvering trials is to extrapolate the characteristics from the draft that the trials are being carried out to the full load, for example, drafts. Of course, as we said, trials are used to test and evaluate newly developed systems for energy saving, like air lubrication and wind-assisted propulsion systems. Of course, as we said, when we fit energy-saving devices on board vessels, we need to calculate the resulting new speed-power curve. Actually, what we are talking today about is measurements. A parenthesis. We already heard and we know that we have more and more measures which practically mean taxation. So performance monitoring all these years are getting more and more, performance monitoring is getting more and more interest from the ship owners, which in the past they were a little bit reluctant to adopt performance monitoring. Most of them, they're mainly interested in what has been agreed with the charterers. So in view of the increase of the cost of the emissions, and we have here a projection, a potential projection how taxation will increase along the years. So in order to control these extra costs, we have to continuously improve the efficiency of the vessels. So to improve something, you have to know what is your actual condition. So you cannot change what you cannot measure. So companies need to have a strategic planning. And strategic planning means decisions. Decisions mean information. We have to know what is our actual condition to see where we go. So sea trials' most important role in the future is to identify, to calculate what is the present power curve of the vessels. Of course, in most of the cases, one of the problems for understanding where we stand is that we don't have historical data of the performance of the vessels. I will go a little bit now into the practicalities of the sea trials. So these are the standards which are we comply with to carry out sea trials. In the beginning, it was the ITC guidelines. I think back in 2004 or 5, I think, those guidance has been published. Then we had those guidance being embodied into the ISO 15016 of 2015. And then we had STIMO software, which is the market standard for calculating the results of the sea trials. So those standards dictate requirements regarding the instrumentation we need to install on board, the margins we have about displacement and trim we have to carry out the sea trials. Of course, the weather conditions which are tolerable in order to have the proper calculations of the results, and having current generally steady. Regarding the actual runs, the standards provide for 4 double runs, 2 of them being on the EDI power level, and 1 less and 1 more than that. In place of the MCR, under certain circumstances, we can use the MCR limited after the EPL application. And of course, the trials must be carried out on the same geographical, on the same course, for all of them to have comparable results. Practically, the procedure is as follows. There is documentation review for the ship. We prepare a procedure which is proposed to the ship owner, ship manager. We submit the proposal then to class. We organize the trials afterwards. We have to board the vessel 1 day before trials for the preparations. We have to have a kick-off meeting with the crew. We install the equipment, and approximately we need 5 to 6 hours. We carry out the trials, which is approximately 10 to 14 hours to be completed. And then, of course, we have to remove the instrumentation and prepare the results. The sea trials present various risks. This is an example of 1 page of our risk assessment for a particular set of trials. Main risks are the safety risks. We have to board and disembark usually at anchor. We have risks regarding the equipment and omissions of materials which may create trouble in our procedure. We may have damages, and we had, mainly in equipment and materials. And of course, we have other challenges which have to do with the operational limitations. Sometimes we found out when on board that the crew was denying to reach the levels of power of main engine because simply they do not operate the engines at that levels, and they were afraid to go that far. And of course, a very usual problem is weather, because, you know, trials are set for a particular date and we cannot predict the conditions. We have exercised various risk mitigation measures, of course. We do safety training, we double-check our equipment, we double-check our inventory, and of course we try to share information both with ashore kick-off meetings and on board. Few photos of the installation for you to get an impression. We have to prepare, clean the shaft where we will put the strain gauge, usually in the intermediate shaft. We install the strain gauge. We secure batteries and a transmitter because it is wireless, this transmission of data, because it is a temporary installation. We install also an RPM meter. In the middle photo, you see how the materials and the shaft looks like. We also install a GPS and weather station of our own. All these are requirements of the standards. And finally, after we measure the drafts, etc., we carry out and we see the course tracking on the axis of the ship. Few figures from the statistics, let's say a few statistics from the ships we have carried out trials. We have carried out trials for about 40 ships. So the most usual age of ships is 10 to 14 years, actually after the second special survey. Usually they are carried out under class because they are used for EEXI calculation. They are mostly done after the dry dock, of course, because we have the best results then. And the upgrades applied, in most of the cases, as we see, they were low friction coating. Roughly the best performance improvement we have seen was up to 10%. That if compared with the model tests. If we could compare reliably these results with the previous condition of the vessel, especially with the previous after dry dock condition, because we have to compare apples to apples, we would see much higher, in many cases, results. So, I wrap up a little bit the presentation, starting with the learned lessons. So, the main risks in carrying out the trials were always the operational limitations and the bad weather conditions. It was more difficult than we expected to be, but nevertheless, with good preparation, good sharing of information, we can achieve to carry out sea trials under controlled condition and get results which are reliable and useful. And of course, what always is missing from us are the existing, the previous, let's say, performance of the data for the previous performance of the vessel. So the benefits with this kind of trials for existing ships, we have a standard methodology for assessing performance, which quantifies what energy improving technologies give us. And that is very important because it gives us information for decision makers what to adopt for future investments. Concluding, carrying out sea trials to existing ships is the basis for monitoring the performance of the vessel, which is so important, as we already discussed. And this is a very reliable, in the end, evaluation, or the most reliable evaluation method. And of course, this method gives us the basis to have performance monitoring, continuous performance monitoring of the vessels. I think that's it. Thank you very much.